What is up, everybody? How's it going? Appreciate you coming back for the after chat. All right. Big thank you again to Steve, temporarily offline. There we go. Popped in just in time for joining us. Appreciate it. All right. So this is the Discord. Well, not the Discord. This is the Ham Radio Crash Course After Chat. We're going to join the Discord where we take live voice questions, but we also look at the chat room, and we will take your questions live as well. So feel free to typey your questions in, and they can be anything radio related, but we generally will take advantage of the time of the people that have joined us that are guests on the last show. So Steve, I think, is in the Discord. I haven't checked yet because I've been running around trying to get it all flipped over here. So let's join the Discord and find out. And here we go.
Like, you've already got all the hardware. It's just a matter of like getting it going and that kind of thing. But that's exactly why I got these health techs. I really want to I really want to start like pulling telemetry off satellites.
Howdy.
Hi, John.
I think I heard Josh sneak in here.
Yeah. Okay. So Steve is in here. So good. We'll go back to the conversation already in session. Were you guys talking about that LoRaSat thing, Don?
No, tiny ground station.
Oh, tiny ground. That's a new one. I haven't heard that yet. So cool.
I swear I posted that anyway.
Well, I thought it was the LoRaSat. I thought it was called LoRaSat. It's called Tiny Ground Station.
Oh,
you sent it to me.
Yeah, it's Tiny GS, Tiny Ground Station.
That's funny. Okay.
And it's the thing that no, it's not the LoRaSat. It's not the stuff where you're tracking those balloons when they crash. This is basically as satellites come over, and it's a whole group of satellites, not just amateur radio. No, they don't do LoRa, but what they're doing is they're sending telemetry data down.
Oh,
and cool. This has the ability to pull the telemetry data from the satellite.
Ooh, excellent. All right.
It's not pictures or anything like that. It's literally telemetry data.
That the styrofoam case ones?
No, that's a different conversation. I think he was talking about the songs.
I'll drop that in the chat in a second.
Yeah, the styrofoam cases are the radio songs that NOAA drops, or I guess releases and then drop. But yeah, drop the link. We'll take a look at it. So okay, hold on, let me get things kicked off and then we can go back to talking. So we're here in the Discord. You guys are hearing it on the live stream. Since Steve is here, we want to make sure we get any questions to Steve first and foremost so we can make use of his time and thank him for joining us out here. So is there anybody on the Discord who is possibly already getting a question answered by Steve that I interrupted, or is there someone who wants to ask Steve a question? Go ahead and speak up so we can get that going. All right. Well, we also take text chat on YouTube. So if you type it out, we'll do that. Gray Man, go ahead. Are you going to say something?
Oh, I'm sorry. Just get my key set up.
Okay.
Hey, Josh.
Yep.
So that last question that you did on the live stream was for both of you guys to talk about the differences between SCR and 703 plus. And I think Steve's familiar with that pretty well.
James, your mic is cutting out. It's like you're not close to it or something like that. But Steve, do you know the question? Do you want to?
No, can you repeat it?
G90 and versus the 703 plus.
Oh. ICOM 703 plus. Well, what is the
703 is a QRP radio. It's a 706, correct, but in QRP clothing.
Correct, and it only does the HF.
So if the question is...
Yeah, so the Zygo G90 only does HF also, and the G90 has more power. I'd say the ICOM would probably have a better receiver, but yeah, I don't have hands-on experience with a 703, so I don't have a whole lot to go on with that I have used a 706 before.
It's kind of an older radio too, the 703. So maybe.
Yeah, it's that same vintage as a 706.
Okay. So I'm guessing that it would be an acceptable upgrade. But let me ask a question: is the 703 like working for you? Is it a fine radio otherwise?
Oh yeah, it works perfectly. But I don't own an SDR radio, and I didn't realize that till tonight while you were doing the live stream.
Well, the G90 is going to function a lot like the 703. You could always just save all your monies, and then when you had a bigger pile, you could make a wider decision if there was another radio that's coming out.
Comment.
Go ahead, Mike.
The 703 Plus is worth about twice what a G90 is.
Well,
They're literally, they sell over here for nearly 600 quid. So they're actually very sought after. And although it's technically the G90 is more modern, and it's got the G90 has a better tuner, the 703 is quite valuable, especially if you have all the filters in it.
What makes it so valuable, Mike?
Does the 703 have a tuner?
Yes.
Oh.
It's basically it's the radio from the 7000 because it takes all the same filters as the 7000. Not the 7000, sorry, the G model, a 706.
I've got the Mark II G, and they do not use the same filters.
Yeah, it's similar. It's that or the 718 filters. I can't remember exactly which, but it's basically a slightly later version than the 705. But it's a much that they are very sought after because they were a limited production run. So that it was like a special edition. The Plus, it had like the tuner and some of the filters fitted as standard, as well as the DSP unit.
To be honest with you, they sound like pretty similar radios. I would almost tell you, save your money or maybe spend a little bit of it, buy yourself a better antenna.
I'll be honest, Josh. I was wanting the 705. We're just going to be honest.
Well, and save your money and get the 705, or
so save my money.
Save your money and then wait for the Yaesu to come out and then make a decision, because hypothetically they're going to be within a range of each other price-wise, right? Just giving you the best options.
Very good point. Very good point.
And the G90 doesn't have 6 meters, right? And the 703 does.
Oh.
The G90 does not have 6 meters, correct?
Okay. Yeah.
Does it also do 160?
It does. Yep.
The G90 does. Yeah. I'm not sure anybody's ever tried it, but
I'd say
and comment G90 works well on top band.
Yes,
you tried it?
Proper UK person here. They definitely do top band, right?
Of course I have.
Of course you have.
With ladder line and everything.
Yeah.
But Mike, you have that ELAD now.
Yeah, but I haven't switched it on yet because I haven't got a tuner.
All right.
Can't tune up me top band ladder line area without a tuner, and I haven't got one because I've misplaced it.
Thanks, guys.
So
I
here's
have a G90 question.
I'm gonna. Oh, sorry. Too many people talking. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I just said I had a question. I'll wait.
No, go ahead, Lars. I think we think we beat that one up pretty good. Go for it.
So there's talk about the AM broadcast filter, and I have a quote unquote newer model G90 apparently based on the power poles that are on the back of it, and I'm wondering if I still would require that on the newer one, because I have been putzing around with the radio for the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks now, and I have not experienced any bleed over from AM broadcast radio, and I'm just not sure if that's something I need or if I'm just not hearing what I could otherwise be hearing, or how do I know if I need that or not?
Tio, you want to take that one?
I missed the beginning of it. How do you know if you need what or not?
The AM filter for the G90.
Oh, you will definitely know that you need it because you won't hear anything except for the loudest AM station in your neighborhood. So if you can hear actual ham radio, you don't need it. If you can't hear any ham radio, you need it. It's
Is it-
extremely obvious.
Okay, is it a specific band or is it just
No. Two things
So
on
your
that.
your local AM radio station is going to overpower the front end of your radio, and you won't hear anything except for, like KCCO out of Minneapolis.
Yeah.
As an example, it's just complete overload. It just wipes it out.
So 2 points on that really fast. I only really experienced the AM bleed over on the 6100 and the 6200. My G90 was pretty clean. But here's the caveat. It seems to me that if you're using a monoband antenna or something with high Q, you're not going to get it as much. But when I used a multiband antenna, like when I was out doing my last POTA failure, that antenna was multibanded and I got way more bleed over. So that's something to consider. I think you're using like a monoband dipole, right, Lars?
correct? Yeah, I'm using a dipole 1-to-1 Fallon set up in the middle there, so I'm not getting any bleed over from anything. I mean, I'm struggling on 10 meters because of just nature of 10 meters. But yeah, I was just
10 meters though.
Yeah, that's just 10 meters.
Yeah.
But I was just curious if it was something I needed to invest in and to change my setup. But sounds like I'm immune right now. So okay, thank you. Appreciate the answer.
Yeah, I think you're probably.
Yeah,
good.
you would definitely know if you needed it.
How big is?
Oh, and as a side point, I did buy the end-fed halfway from your company, and I put it together, and
Sweet.
I don't know if I did it right, but it's awesome. So
Then you did it right.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I set it up, and I was receiving like crazy, but I don't think I have it tuned properly yet. But yeah, it's my wife was watching me try to solder this thing together, and she just looked at me like, "What are you doing?" I don't know, but it was fun.
Yeah,
Lars,
yeah,
as long as
Frank's in the chat here.
Lars, as long as your solder didn't look like my solderoids, I think you're fine.
Yeah, okay.
and you should try the Poseidon next.
There you go. Collect
All right,
them all.
thanks again.
It's like Pokemon
Yeah,
for antennas.
Collect them all.
Yeah. The Poseidon needs a tuner, but it's designed to work with the internal 3-to-1 tuner that's in most of the radios that are out there today that have internal tuners in them. And that's the selling point on that one, is that it tunes up all bands on an internal tuner, 40 and above.
Yeah, I think that's the one I got was the Poseidon, I believe.
There you go.
It's got the green core, the one that tastes minty fresh.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the Poseidon. Yep. Because all the other ones are black cores.
There's a question: how big is the bubble around the AM transmitters? Well, it depends on what their power output is and their antenna system. So it varies. The AM station that's like 3 miles from my house is 50,000 watts, for instance.
Yeah, there's a couple near me that are 100,000 watts, but they're 25 miles away. I mean, when I lived in Richardson, sorry, but here they're like 50, 60 miles away. But at 25 miles away, I never heard them. Never got them in the radio.
This is a
On a
very
Zygu radio.
Yeah, I have what, two of the Zygus. I don't have the 62, but I've got the G90 and the 61.
I got a very interesting question in the form of a super chat from Steven here, and thank you, Steven. Appreciate it. And we'll go to Steve for the first answer, but a lot of you might have some opinions, and I definitely have my thoughts. He asks, what's the best quality digital SWR meter that covers UHF and VHF? Interesting question.
I only can talk about one, and that's the Nisei, the one that MFJ used to make, and now you can get it from Gigaparts as an Intellitron brand, or you can get it on Amazon as a Nisei, Nissei, and that's the one that I use. It does digital on a digital readout, not a needle readout, on HF and on VHF, UHF. You can switch it back and forth, and it's got 2 different ports on the back, so you don't have to like swap radios and swap cables to go from one set to the other. Don, didn't you have the little black box kit from like Banggood? That's another power meter.
Oh, yeah, I do have that one, but it doesn't do VHF, UHF. I have that one that it's HF only, and it's not a kit.
And then there's there's the LPA or LPR or something that's like $500 or something like that. It's the big boy meter. That's the only
Yeah.
other one I know of that's digital readout.
Well, they have an LP 100, an LP 500, and an LP 700.
So they just get more expensive.
Yeah, and I think the 700's top of the line with the handle kilowatt plus.
So I'm thinking about this in my head, and obviously meters are very important, but what about an analyzer in this case? I know you're not going to. This is for testing the antenna specifically. He's talking about through line, but if you do a good job setting up the antenna, wouldn't an analyzer be the right way to go before worrying too much about UHF and VHF SWR metering?
I can see it because I have had something like squirrels or whatever chew cables.
Okay.
And yeah,
sure.
it was fine then. And then all of a sudden I'm keying up and, my SWR goes through the roof. And you can tell that on some of the VHF, UHF radios, but not on all of them.
Mm-hmm. That's true. VHF, UHF is kind of lacking in some cases with the radios actually having a readout for SWR. I guess you could have not all of them have a power output readout either. They don't have any of that in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. That's a
Good VNA.
A couple of bars, maybe. Like I'm putting power out.
A VNA would work, Mark, but if you're transmitting through it, I don't think that's a good idea.
Oh, yeah, no, you
No,
blow
we
that
can't
thing
handle
out
the
in a
power.
second. I was just thinking what Josh was saying, if you set this thing up and you use a VNA to tune it in, that'll get you where you want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's more about like, okay, it's working, and I've been using it for the last 6 weeks, and I stopped using it for a few days. This literally happened to me, and then I come and start using it, and the SWR's through the roof. And the reason was after I went out there and started looking,
Mm-hmm.
I found where the squirrels had chewed through the cable.
Mm. So I have this Nisei RS50 digital SWR and power meter. It'll do.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like just VHF, so it doesn't do UHF. Oh no, it does UHF too. Yeah, you're good.
Well,
I'll drop the link.
and yeah, speaking of the animals thing, Steve actually has a video where an animal got to his too.
Yep.
I will note that a digital readout, you're going to have to provide power to it. So sometimes those dummy-proof needle meters for good, bad, or other is fine. So think about
I
that.
got one of those, Josh, and you can either put power in it or put a battery in it.
Yeah, that's one more thing to have
yeah.
to think about.
Well, for the size of this meter, it's not something you're going to be putting in a backpack and taking up on a mountaintop. It's a desk accessory.
Yeah, that'll work though.
Because it's a cube. It's a rectangular cube, but I'm going to say it's like 5 inches. 5 by 5 by 4 or something like that. So it's a big boy, and the screen readout is, good size. You can read it from across the room.
Mm-hmm.
The one that Don has that's HF only is like, I want to say 4 by 2, 3 by 2, like business card size, and then deep for all the electronics that are in the box.
Yeah, it's tiny though. By the way, I do have a video where I use that meter, the antenna tuner you were talking about, the micro PA50, and the Hermes light. So I've got all three of those hooked up, and I go through and demo them.
And what was the guy? It's a J.J. Abrams movie because of all the lights, like in the 2009 Star Trek.
Yeah, that is one of those things.
Bright lights.
Yeah, those lights are just, and I don't know, probably you video guys that really know how to do YouTube know how to control that, but when they throw those lights at you, I don't know how you make it comfortable for the viewer, so to speak.
You go into your ham shack and you just get blown out by lens flare.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
J.J. Abrams movie. So Patty Boy Gaming asks, and Steve may have already looked into this. I have not. APRS with the Ella Kits or Parts DigiPi hat. Just got into it, and not a lot of guides out there. Have you or T.O. used it yet? Are you familiar with this, T.O.?
I'm looking it up now.
The Ella Kits.
I think you or Jim said something about it. I thought.
There's a kit that Jim got, but it's not this kit.
Okay.
KM6. Oh, yeah, KM6LYW, Craig.
So do you...
I have used the DigiPi software. This is KM6LYW, the guy that plays the guitar music in the beginning of his videos. Somebody made a Pi hat that's got the display built in, and it's got a 9-pin D port. You know, it's a serial port, but it's not a serial port. It's a port that you can then use to make your own breakout cable for your radio. So, yeah, it's one of the many things that I'd like to try, but have not tried it personally. I've tried DigiPi, and I have used it with a 705 because it's just USB at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also got a sandwich stack that'll get you onto like a 6-pin mini DIN connector for a radio, or this one's got that 9-pin breakout where you can make your own cables for it. The DigiPi image is pretty slick. I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah, but I've got that universal radio controller, which is an AIOC on steroids, and it has a hat that goes inside of it to make it basically into a digipeater iGate. And all you got to do after that is hook it up to a Baofeng and a really good antenna.
So Patty Boy says he'll send it to you to take a look at, T.O. Hit him up on Discord.
Cool. Send me an email, send me a message, or I'll tell you what the address is. That'd be awesome.
So this is interesting. There's a lot of options with this kit. You know, GPS, 3D printed case for 4 or 5s. Oh, you can do the whole 9 yards. What is the BME 680? What is that option?
That's probably the screen.
Oh, okay.
As a guess, but I'm not sure.
I could tell you what it is if you'd like.
Yeah, go for it.
Please.
This is Patty Boy, by the way. Ulysses K2, the DYO. So yeah, I ended up purchasing this and watching Craig's videos and stuff. I got it to work with the Redivis RT3S with the modified firmware.
Mm-hmm.
It's like with the APRS radio connected, it works flawlessly. But they make it seem like it would work with a Baofeng easily.
Mm-hmm.
Just got my Yaesu FTM 500. By the way, that BME is a ambient temperature sensor. So if I leave it in my car and I'm tracking my car,
cool.
I could get my interior. I could check the temperature in my interior, and stuff like that.
That's cool.
But I've been messing with it. But like I said, I figured a few things out about it. It works really good. It's my first time actually getting into APRS, and I went the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want, like I said, you'd like to take a gander at it, you'd like to give it a try, I'll send it out to you. I'll send you a direct message here on Discord if you'd like. I'm also on the toads.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome.
I think I might buy this. Will this do? I'm guessing it will work as an iGate, right?
Yeah.
iGate, Digipeats, JS8 call, FT8. With the DigiPi software, of course, it works with everything. I'm only a tech, so I can't use, some of the goodies in there. But using the APRS, it's working flawless so far. I'm receiving a lot of packets and stuff, but there's a lot of things that I still want to learn on how to send out, like messages and stuff like that.
I'm going on a path of the anti-Mike K8MRD with APRS. Obviously, we have our differences of opinion on APRS. And I think everybody should put up a digipeater and an iGate if they can. And this might be a really simple way of doing that. And I cracked up. I looked at this image. It's got that Yaesu VX. That's a VX2 that it's showing there, which is like hilarious. So that's really interesting. I might have to go and throw a Baofeng on this or something like that and let it run for, I don't know, all the time. So we'll see how that goes. That's cool. That's thanks for the showing us that. That's a good one. We got a super chat. No J in DOJ asks, can you recommend an SHTF ham radio for beginners? Well, so Tio is here. He was our guest today on the live stream. So I'm going to let Tio take a crack at that one first, Tio. SHTF ham radio for beginners. What say you?
Well, it's the beginners thing that throws the whole loop
I
in
know.
The first answer I would give you is, if you didn't throw for beginners in there, would be like a Yaesu FT818.
Oh, yeah.
When you throw beginner in there, then I started leaning towards a 705, but then you're talking QRP power levels, low power levels, which is going to be frustrating and difficult.
Well,
but then the G90 doesn't do local, so you need to get a G90 and a Baofeng UV5R. Dive in is the short answer. Go get yourself a UV5R, dive in, play with it, start talking to people on repeaters, start doing APRS with a cable and a Android APRS Droid app, and then just start building, and you'll never be bored again. It's the power level that's going to get you as a new person, though.
Yeah, so I went straight, when you say beginner, I pretty much just went straight VHF, UHF, right? Just off the top of my head, I'm like, that's where he's going to go. So yeah, $17 Baofeng, I probably would buy a couple of them, get them all programmed the same, have a little laminated card that you keep with it that tells people what the frequencies are, because you may end up having to hand it to a loved one, somebody you're traveling with, whatever. But the thing that was kind of surprising, I talked to Danny at Buy Two Way Radio about this. I was curious, what have been some of the really popular radios that they've been selling with this whole, obviously the hurricanes going on and all that stuff. And he rattled off a list of like 3 HTs that were real popular. One of them was GMRS, which makes sense. But I was curious, and I replied back to him. I'm like, okay, all HTs. What about mobiles? And he said, no, mobiles weren't nearly selling as much as the handheld, which makes sense to me. But I'm going to push back and say that I think the best SHTF like setup you can do is going to be like a mobile radio. And specifically one that you put in a little case. And I was trying to find one. Let me see if I can find an image of these. This isn't exactly what I was thinking of, but you can see here, these little cases, they're like a metal shroud, and there's a handle on the side of it, and you get a battery underneath that, and then you could run a mobile radio with that, like an ICOM. The ICOM 2730 is what I go to so often because it's just a dead simple radio, and it's mobile, and it's 50 watts. And to me, a grab and go with an antenna that you can slap on the top of something, that's, I think, that's the sweet spot from my point of view. I think. But what anybody else want to add their thoughts to that?
So I will add one more comeback on that. If you're going to do an HT and you're thinking you're going to be in it for a little bit longer than, oh, this is nice, and put it in the drawer and forget about it, the Vero VR N76 or the BTEC UV Pro or the Radiodity GA5WB, they're all the exact same radio. It's a 5-watt HT that is programmable from a Bluetooth app on your cell phone.
Oh, yeah.
So you can actually talk through the phone. You can do APRS mapping. It's a digipeater. It's an iGate. Like, all the stuff is figured out for you. So that radio is about $160 to $180. But if you get the Baofeng plus the APRS Droid software plus the cable plus, the USB software to program it, you've come real close to the same budget.
Yeah, I'm. Somebody mentioned you, Don. I know you're not really an HT guy, and I think that's what they're saying. Is I agree with Don. No HTs. Now, I love HTs. I love geeking out with HTs, but I think having a nice, ready to roll mobile VHF UHF radio is going to be the spot. And keep in mind, when I say grab and go, I mean like Go Box style, where it's internally wired with the battery, and you got an external port to charge off of, and you flip a switch, and the thing just lights up, and it starts working immediately. Because in an emergency, you may not want to be like grabbing a box full of wires and boxes and then setting it up on a table. You might not be able to set up on a table. You might only have this little thing you can hold in your hand and be able to use it. So I'm looking at stuff like this. I think this is pretty nice. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Anybody else want to add anything?
Well, I can say this too, as far as HTs and all of that go. I'm not a big SHTF fan either.
I'll tell you, Don, I'm not a big SHTF fan either, but I want to be prepared if it happens to me.
I just go get in my car and I've got an HF and a VHF UHF in there.
You're already prepared.
If I were to have to leave, yeah, and I've got all my POTA gear in there, so I'm basically all ready to go. Now I don't carry an HT, but I just don't think it would be that useful. Forgive me, but
no, I understand what you're saying. I prepare, I guess, because I've been through, one or two bad situations. So I was like, boy, it could have been a lot more comfortable if I did this, that, or the other. So that's generally what I think about when that stuff happens. But I hear you, Don. I think that makes sense.
So, like in the context of Helene in North Carolina, any radio that you can get that's 2 meters will get you onto the repeater that I'm going to get his call sign wrong. Dan has been running.
Yeah.
Emergency traffic. K2DMG?
DMG, yeah.
Yeah. And that's what you need. Your phone doesn't work because the tower's down, the electricity doesn't work, the roads are gone, and you need to get on the local repeater. If you had HF, that'd be nice, but you need somebody local, and HF is going to get you somebody out of town.
Yeah.
So, what are you preparing for is the other part of the question.
Exactly. Yep.
Comment?
Go ahead, comment.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry. There was somebody that said comment.
Yeah, that was me. I look at from my noobish perspective on this. I guess it depends on what you mean by SHTF. So the way I look at it, like for my family, for my wife, my kid, parents, grandparents, that kind of stuff. I would say in that perspective, if you're just trying to stay in communication with family and local for coordination purposes, PMRS or FRS is the way to go. Ham radio does the same thing, granted, but it's easier to train and practice with GMRS because license, just easier. I've always looked at it like GMRS is for you, your family, to stay in communication in an emergency. And to me, that's more important than having everybody being able to reach out to a repeater. You only need really one guy who can do that.
Right. Agreed.
So for an SHTF, for me, I would say, just like if I was going to make a preparedness kit, have everybody in their family have a radio, how to use it, and even if it's just BMRS, it's fine because they could practice with it and they know how to work it. And then me or somebody else in the family, whoever it is, whoever's the ham, let them. That's them. They're the bridge out from that group to larger, whether it be a repeater or HF. So it's multi-tiered in that level. So it depends on what you mean by it's SHTF.
Yeah, and you also have to practice too, which is something that a lot of people don't do. So as an example, I used to teach firearms classes, and one of the things I would tell people is, when your house is on fire and you told your kids to meet by the tree outside of the house, and they're meeting at the tree in the backyard and you're meeting at the tree in the front yard, and there's a burning house in between the two of you, where are your kids? As dad, you run back in the house and look for them. As being fully planned ahead, it's like, we're going to meet by this tree, let's go practice right now, and then they all know what tree it is that you're all meeting at outside. So even that kind of stuff, you're absolutely correct. It's not only what emergency you're preparing for, but practice that, and have some contingency plans too. Like if dad gets the tree that landed on the house lands on dad, nobody else is a licensed ham, nobody knows where that radio is, and nobody knows how to work that repeater. Then I'm being morbid on purpose to illustrate the point, but I 100% agree with you.
Good point.
Right, and that's my thing. It's like I know a lot of people poo-poo the idea of SHTF and ham radio combining those two worlds, but I see the value in it, and I also believe that there is something about, like you said, practicing. And just like in school, you practice the fire drill, like line up in the hallway, get out. Like there's something about practicing in case something goes wrong. And I don't mean to pontificate about it, but I'm under the delusion that, well, that ain't gonna never happen to me, so why bother? It's like, okay, I can't subscribe to that methodology.
So I found just a quick website, a blog somebody put together. They're building a Hamo can, right? So it's just one of those plastic ammo Plano cans that they crammed a small VHF UHF radio into, a speaker and a battery with the appropriate connectors on the outside that they could then do whatever they wanted with. The thought that I would have is, with a VHF UHF mobile, sure, you can get into the repeater no problem. I think that's a moot point, but you'll be heard better, and people will hear you better if you got an antenna that's disconnected and up or a little bit higher and all that fun stuff. So, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
Well, not to beat this dead horse, but one of the things I did buy was I bought the little 10-watt GMRS repeater that they make. I forget who makes it. Redivus. There's another brand, another company that makes something similar, and I basically turned my car into a mobile GMRS repeater.
Okay.
And anywhere I park my car, that car I can park it up on top of a hill, and I can now retransmit that GMRS signal as far as 10 watts will take. Well, 5 watts really, or 6 watts, or whatever it's. But which will be enough to reach out and communicate. And I think just that little box in your trunk that's hooked up in case you need it, it's there.
Yeah, I hear you. And Kenny, I think, reiterates the point of a portable repeater go box. I am thankful that in the cities in Southern California, in the South Bay area, and all that, where I'm at, there is an impossible amount of repeaters that we have. Like, if there were more than 100 repeaters on the air after a serious disaster, I would not be surprised at all. So I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about my simplex signal and getting to those repeaters. So that's what I would prepare for. But I hear what you're saying. It's a good point, Lars.
Another important consideration is just like, you guys always talk about the pace plan, and there's nothing wrong with GMRS. There's nothing wrong with CB. There's nothing wrong with ham radio. But you're going to need a community, a bunch of people on the same vehicle that you're on. Mm-hmm. But if you're committed to GMRS only, and shout out to, there's a lady up here on 145-190. I'm in North Carolina, not too far from the disaster, and she's tearing it up, and they're on the repeater. But if you're committed to GMRS only, and the resource you need is communicating on the repeater, then you're out. Just like a pace plan, commitment to having some familiarity with all the methods of radio is important.
Oh, T.O., you got something in the background.
Yeah, I walked in front of a fan.
Oh, that was crazy. All right. Go ahead, Bill.
No, that was it. It's having an ability to communicate on all the forms or multiple forms is a really good idea.
I agree. Pace plan, all the things. Make sure you're prepared for the right stuff. All right.
Josh?
Yeah. What's up, James?
I dropped in the live stream chat there a really super simple, you can plug it into your cigarette lighter. 2 meter, I think it's 4-band or something, but it's a 25-watt ham radio that it's not super simple, but it's simple enough that you could plug in if you're fairly familiar and put a mag mount on top of your vehicle, or like you said, you could put a J-pole, an Ed Fong J-pole up, and it would get you.
Yeah, let me pull it up right now. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I know what that is. So, by the way, anybody who's watching, the link in the video description to Radioddity, if you buy anything from Radioddity off that link, you get a discount. So I don't know what this would show up. In fact, let me see if I can pull it up with my link. It should be reduced, but yeah, if you pull it up to Radioddity and find it, it's the QB25. Yeah, for $120, that's not bad for 25 watts, and it comes with an antenna.
That one does, yep.
That's cool. For $120? Yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay, so you're halfway there.
Yeah.
Hey, Josh, sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
I know you're going to be calling the show pretty soon, and I wanted, while Steve was here, remember our conversation we had a couple of weeks ago about my G90 putting out a lot of RF on. I found a post on Reddit where apparently this is a common issue with certain radios, and I was curious if Steve ever had this happen with his radio, specifically on frequency 442.
I wasn't part of the original conversation, so it's putting out various emissions or something?
Yeah.
When the radio is just simply on, any other radio that's near my radio anyway, if it's tuned to frequency 442, it's transmitting out something when not when you're keying up, just the radio being on.
Oh, I wonder if that's like the first IF frequency, Josh.
I don't know, but it was transmitting a fair distance. It was a pretty big mess when he had that thing on. We were all pretty surprised by it because I don't think we're talking about just any of his radios, not even close to the same frequency.
No, it was any HT or any other VHF radio I have that UHF radio that I had that was on 442, specifically that frequency, was blasted with RF within
from
like
the G90.
From the G90, just the G90 being on.
Yeah.
Did you try a factory reset?
I'll have to look into that.
He did. Remember, you're the one that told him to do it.
Oh, that's right.
Factory reset. But apparently it's not just my radio. I saw some other comments about it on some Reddit posts I saw. I can't find the post, unfortunately. I'm sorry. But I was just curious if, and if he or if anybody else's radios were doing it. Because I feel like I have an anomaly here with like one other person in the world who had the same problem.
You're special.
I don't want to be.
How old is your radio?
It's like brand new.
Brand new.
I would reach out to Zygoose support. They're excellent, and they will take care of it, I'm sure.
We told him that too.
That's my next step, but I appreciate it. Anyway, just wanted to.
And that's you, Lars?
Yes.
Okay, let me make sure I got your name right. I'm going to take a note. I'm going to try it on my radio and see if it does it. And I'll let you know.
I got my G90 out. I could probably do it right now. We might try that later.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it live.
And you said Ape just got one of the new ones, Theo?
Yep, he did.
So have Ape try it too.
Yeah,
Let's see.
Ape will hook a tiny SA up to that thing.
Yep, he will.
All right. You want to get your fingers next to the hand chopper.
It doesn't affect my affect my ability to transmit on it though. Like I've been making contacts on the G90 and it's great, but it blasts everything around me with
Yeah, but it makes me feel dirty.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like it's anybody outside of like say 20 or 30 feet, and then it's fine. So, and it's from the radio, not from the antenna, which is the weird part.
It's from the internal fan.
That's it from the hand chopper. What'd you say? It was 440 is the channel? Is the frequency?
442.
442 specifically.
Oh, that's right. We commented on great engine.
Yeah, the Oldsmobile.
Get out of that.
Lars, what frequency are you on when it's doing this? Any HF frequency?
Any.
One in particular?
No. The radio could, any frequency, any band, doesn't matter.
So my radio's on right now on 442 and nothing. There's no antenna connected. That's not a problem, right?
He said only with the antenna connected.
No. I had the G90 turned on with no antenna connected, just powered on, and it was blasting 442. So yeah, I guess I got a faulty radio. I got to call. I got to contact Zygo.
Yeah.
But yours has the internal fan or not?
I believe so. It's got the one with the power poles on the back, so it's the newer model.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's why we need Ape to test it.
But here's something I got.
Well, I'll test it also.
Yeah, right. But I mean, Josh has one of the older ones and it's not doing it. So it depends, I guess.
No, mine's like a first generation. First
Yeah, mine.
G90.
Yeah, I had my G90, I bought it before MFJ even had them in the country.
Oh, yeah, no. Mine is
watching.
Yeah, that's before mine.
I was watching old Fred's videos when he was, all about the G90 before anybody even had seen the radio. And the minute that thing became available, I bought it. And so, yeah, mine melted the power cord pretty quickly, and without on SSB, it was that bad. And Simtel in the UK went out and replaced all of their power cables for all the G90s they'd shipped during that first year. But not here.
I'm playing around with my new toy.
Josh, I'm gonna.
So, Josh, you tested your G90?
What do you mean? Did I test it?
Did you just do the Lars test on your G90?
I did. Mine didn't have a problem.
I'm gonna send you. I'm gonna text you a video real quick. Go.
You could drop the video in the chat here.
Oh yeah, that's pretty slick. Let's see if I can get the mic down. Hold on.
Sounds like you're scratching a guitar.
Yeah, it's that. I think it's his mic stand or something. When he turns it, it's funny.
Yeah, there's a squeak. Sorry, there's a squeak on my mic stand. It's the spring.
Yeah, it's funny.
Does this work the other way? Kilo India 6, November Alpha Zulu. Kilo India 6. All right. Oh, it'll do text chat? That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Somebody said it'd do text chat and SSTV, so.
Really?
That's a 2-meter radio. It should, yeah.
Well, I don't have a 2-meter radio that receives SSTV.
I mean,
it receives the audio, but it doesn't show the picture.
You gotta love a kit that's like $30 and is a little device that slaps on the back of your phone and has an app. That's super cool.
Well, you saw that 9600 baud TNC that I posted.
No, I didn't. When?
Josh, you need to check your DMs.
That's the Tino Don?
Yeah, the one I showed you.
I posted the video in the Discord chat.
I knew about the radio songs. I was already all up in that, and then I did look at your tiny ground station. I thought it was Laura Sat for some reason, so I got those two confused. I'm going to try that.
Yeah, it looks fun to me. I mean,
well,
and of course, doing what I'm doing now, I'm actually writing code to do that. So.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, very nice. Okay. All right, so everybody keep in mind we have Steve temporarily offline joining us because he was on the show previously, our last hour show. So we're still catching up on questions. We are obviously talking about the Shagu radios, so if you have questions on those, feel free to dive in the chat. I did add the link at the very top of the description so you can join us on Discord. That's the fastest way to get to talk to us because that's the easiest thing because we usually have like some back and forth that we do for questions. So is there anybody on Discord who wants to ask a question that hasn't been able to yet? Go ahead.
Can I just make a quick comment?
Sure.
So Steve has 2 other channels that are really good. His Living for a Living for the RV stuff. Mm-hmm. It's great. You should follow it. And his retro computer stuff. He hasn't added anything to it in a while, but I've always enjoyed it. So if you get a chance, yeah, I dropped those during the live stream, links to all 3 of his channels. But
Redrop them.
Okay, I will, because I still have them up.
Yeah, go for it.
What?
I think
Josh,
so on the Retro Tech channel, I would build and repair Commodore 64s and old ZX81s and stuff like that. And then on the RV channel, I just drive it all around the country. I sold my house a year and a half ago, so this is my house now.
I love that. I wish I could do that. We'll pull up your shot right here. There you go. That's cool too, because there's a lot of people that are doing RV stuff and just doing the van life thing and all that. So, I'm gonna have to go watch the. Well, I'm not that interested in the Starlink, but I saw that little power adapter thing, and I was like, that looks cool. I'll have to go check that out.
Yeah, so the 12-volt hack is me doing it with pieces, and then the one that says off-grid is a product that their company makes.
Yeah, the off-grid one. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, he did one not long ago that was like 5 things that he needed to fix in his RV, and there's 2 of them that I need to do here in the house. So you pick up all kinds of things.
Since everybody's asking me, people don't know about it yet. There is a kit that's out. Hold on, let me get this zoomed in right so you can see it. There's a little tiny kit. It's called the KV4P HT. It's $35, and it's mainly 3 components, large components that you have to solder together. But it turns your Android phone into a radio. And so you can go to the website. I'll drop the link here so you guys can check it out. It's a cool little project, and he has the firmware and he has the Android app. The Android app is beta right now, so to get in it, you need to email him. I don't think, by the way, this is a KV4P is just a guy having fun. He's not kidding this up. He's not really selling a particular product. So all this stuff you can just go buy. It's not connected to any particular thing. So just take the link and then buy all the parts and build it. The only problem you'll have is the PCB, which I think he has a way to do that. Yeah, the PC. He has links to the PCB, and there's a project you can link up as well. Cool. Check that out.
So, Josh.
Yep.
There is a question in the chat.
Okay.
I can summarize it for you if you want.
Go for it.
Snowkeeper, new to radio. He's off grid with a small battery bank for cabin. What would be a good radio purchase? Budget is $500 or less. Lee and I are trying to figure out if that's for the whole thing or what. But there you go. What's a good radio?
Thank you for giving us a budget. We'll throw to Steve first to answer that because he's actually living in an RV. He's going to have really good thoughts on this. So what do you think, Steve?
So the budget was $500, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
That would be the G90.
There it is, kids.
The G90 is a HF. What is it? It goes up to 30 megahertz and 20 watts. Internal tuner, waterfall display. It's a decent radio. It's not the best at anything. It's not the worst at anything. It'll get your feet wet. And you have room left over to get a Baofeng to get you on 2 meters.
Yeah, I mean, you could. Gosh, $500 is not a lot of space. $1,000 would get you an antenna, a battery, or a power supply, and a G90 if you had 1,000, and probably some incidentals and other stuff. But yeah, you're relatively limited if $500 is the budget.
Hermes
Light, yeah.
Although that's almost the whole budget. But yeah, I mean, to me, that and all of the 12-volt PCs and everything that are out there right now. Sorry, Raspberry Pi fans, the 12-volt PC just has it beat.
Yep.
Unless you need the GPIO pins.
So we will add this little twist here. Living RV remote in Alaska, so consider shipping probably in that 500.
Ah.
And also consider the temperatures too.
Oh, Snowkeeper says they
They can do a grand.
Yeah, that's who it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean G90. Get yourself a coffee and ham radio antenna to go along with that, and some kind of power supply.
So when you get into that grand price range, I change it over to the Yaesu 710.
You can get them for $800. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and for the antenna, be careful in that environment using an antenna like what the car guys build. It's a great antenna, no shade. But if you're going to put it out permanently in an environment like that, you really need something that can handle the environment.
Weatherproof.
Yeah, weatherproof, and again, consider the cold. Here it's the heat, but
yeah,
in Alaska it's got to be the cold.
James Lynch says G90 can tune improvised antennas like random wire or a pipe. Yes, it can.
Mm-hmm.
Can tune everything. It can tune a fishing sign.
You know what? Maybe it can tune a stovepipe, and I'll bet he's got one of those.
Yeah.
Did it Mike K8MRD just released a video with the G90 tuning a shopping cart at Walmart?
Yeah.
Yep.
And Steve Goodgame did one where he tuned a sign. I think it was a G90, right?
It was a G90, yep. I think it was Rob, our buddy Rob, put 2 nails in a tree and tuned the tree.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it was. 741.
Snowkeeper adds, I'm in a cabin with the ability to put up an antenna on my property. So yeah, there you go, man. You can do all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
DX Commander.
So just to call it out, Snowkeeper said that she is a female.
Oh, thank you for the correction.
Tio,
it's only because 90% of hams are men, so it's just an assumption that we all make.
Yeah, there you go. Corpse Lot with the most important note. Thank you for the super chat. Says the G90 even takes Glock mags. It does not, but that's a funny joke. Corpse, thank you. Thank you, Lars. Have a good rest of your weekend. All right. So anybody on the Discord want to jump in with a question? Now is a good time. Again, we got Steve here, so if you know what he's into, or if you just have a ham radio question, throw it out there. Let's do it.
I only have one final question. I just ordered Yaesu, the FTM 500D for the car.
Okay.
And wondering about the APRS. Someone told me, or I've read it, I think it was on Reddit that I saw it, the SCU, I don't know if it was the 20 or the 45 cable that I could use with a Raspberry Pi 0W, got the 2 for APRS.
Oh, buddy. I don't know which cable you need to use for the FTM 500. Where did you read that?
It was a cross-link off of something that I was reading, because as I was researching this DigiPi hat, it was cross-checking some stuff with Craig. If I find the link again, I'll look in the history. If I find the link, I'll put it up on the Discord, and maybe somebody could help me try to figure it out, because I'm really interested in this APRS, unlike Mike.
Ulysses, I'll help you. I just found it, dropped the link. Well, maybe not the same post you had, but a very similar one. It is the SCU 58 cable, and that should be all you really need.
Sweet deal. That's the one that. All right, cool. Because since, like I said, I have the DigiPi software. I'm gonna experiment with this, because I kind of find this APRS stuff pretty interesting.
I agree. I love APRS. I do want to note, though, that this is a question the guy's posting. He has the SCU 58, but I don't know that he is PTTing the radio successfully.
And considering that was 7 months ago.
So I don't know if
so
that's
just for some added info, the 500 will do APRS natively, and I think it was KM4ACK Jason that found a way to marry a Bluetooth keyboard to it. but I don't quote me on that. Just take a look at his video.
Yeah.
That's yep. I did see that video. Yeah, he did put up a video that you hate that ABCD keyboard on it, and he was using Pocket Packet. He was using the MobiLink with the Pocket Packet app on his phone to get
on
to
his
the
phone.
FTM.
Yep.
Yeah.
See, I honestly, to me, the biggest failure of any APRS is the fact that there is no Bluetooth keyboard support where you can have an actual freaking keyboard. I do not want to type on my phone like it's 1998 again, and I don't want to type on a screen. I want a freaking keyboard. Then it would make sense.
A real keyboard?
Don.
Yeah, a real keyboard.
Don.
No.
It was 1987 when APRS was created.
Well, I get that, Tim, but the phones that you had to do the stupid typing on,
the T9.
I was using those back in the day.
Yeah. Well,
for SMS,
nothing
horrible interface.
There is no happier Josh than when Josh plugged in that USB dongle for the keyboard and the 6200 started taking all my typings. I just love that. Like, all radios should just be able to shove a thing into it and let you do keyboarding, whatever you want to do. That was like impressive. I was impressed by that.
If it's not T9 for APRS, I don't want it. By the way, as an FTM 500 owner, I absolutely love the APRS function that is natively built into the radio.
But do you actually type on it, Frank?
Oh, yes.
Through what? The microphone?
Yeah, T9 style.
Oh, jeez. No, thank you.
Wait, you said
so
you
Don,
like... Go ahead.
The Vero radio I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
I work on your cell phone app, and then you can put a Bluetooth keyboard onto your cell phone.
Yeah, and Steve, do you know if and I was going to answer this question anyway, but so forgive me for bringing it up now. But do you know if the Vero, like, they make a mobile too, right? Does it work the same way? Does it work the same way?
Exactly the same way, but it's 50 watts. Yep.
Yeah, I'd really like to get.
And that radio is cheap. That radio is like $150 also. Last time I checked. Let me check again real quick.
Yeah, I have that HT, and I did not. I don't like HTs, but I like that one.
Which one? The VGC?
Yeah, the VR72 or whatever the heck it is.
Yeah, it's
N76.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, Josh, you got one.
N76. Yeah. The only
$198.80 for the N7500.
Yeah, the only thing I've had problems with is the stupid microphone. It just flat won't connect to anything.
I don't like the Bluetooth microphone, but that's just personal preference.
Well, I mean, when I'm driving, I'd like to have the radio over there and, just grab the microphone. And now the mobile has an actual microphone, I believe. It's not a Bluetooth.
I'm on the same page. I'm not a big fan of Bluetooth for amateur radio stuff like HTs and all that, but I do really like the ICOM dongle. It is very, very good, and I wish that it was just a standard that all the radios worked with it, because it would be awesome. But it's really nice.
If only ICOM supported APRS.
I know, Don. I know. I don't know what the deal is with that. I still don't have a straight answer.
By the way, I have another question. If you want to come back to me later, that's fine.
I will, but I do want to reply to Mr. This Is Me Too. Says, to be honest, best SHTF device, Starlink. Okay, here's my problem. I don't disagree, but I think that layered communication is what you want, right? The problem, it's okay, so let me take this back. It's not a problem with Starlink. It's doing exactly its job. If everybody you're trying to help in a disaster situation for SHTF doesn't have the internet, then you're not going to be able to communicate with anybody. That's the reason why that repeater in North Carolina was so popular, is because it became the way people were literally moving helicopter traffic and massive amounts of people and gear and all kinds of stuff, because most people didn't have access to the internet. And even if they had internet access or phone, they didn't know who to talk to. So radio became We all went back in time like 50 years, right? When this all happened at that moment. And radio became just the most important thing because it's instantaneous communication. Went straight to the people that were listening. You can communicate long distances with it very simply. It's great. Not taking anything away from Starlink. I think what they did there was actually very good, but it's not the same communication. It's just not.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, T. You're
going to set up your Starlink, and you're going to get on Discord, and you're going to ask Josh for help. Is that what you're going to do? Is that the plan?
Yeah, you get on Discord voice
I think
with
it's
me.
solid.
No, I'm going to use my cell phone and use Elon's satellites to make phone calls when all the towers are down.
Right,
Yeah,
but
my T-Mobile will do that.
But you can't call anybody in the town you're in because they also don't have phones or internet. So, and if they're in range of
the reason they don't have phones, they have a phone in their hand. The reason they don't have phones is because the towers are down. But Elon's satellites replace those towers.
Now, here's the thing that I want to go with on that one.
Both ends need it.
Shadow, we hear you, but you're cutting in and out. So give it a minute and see if you can get back in there. You're too far away from the repeater, son. Give it a minute. Go ahead. What somebody was gonna say something.
No, probably me. Jamscan makes a good point. Is the Starlink satellites are all fine and dandy until a CME decides to blast them with, just blast them out of the sky, not literally out of the sky, but blast the gigahertz range, and they all go down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not pulling any shots at Starlink today or Elon, okay? I think they did a good job. I'm letting them rest. I want to talk about the taxi and the bus, but I'm not going to do it, guys.
No.
I'm not going to do it. I think they did a good job. They deserve me just saying attaboy. Does the Shegu have an all-band, all-mode rig? Steven asks. Tio, have you ever done a Mars mod? Did they Mars mod them, or can you do that?
I have done a Mars mod, but he said all band, all mode. There is a Mars mod on the 6100 that works. Apparently on the G90, you pull the cover off, and there is an arrow pointing at the thing you're supposed to remove. I haven't done that yet. And then the 6200, the Mars mod is there in software, but doesn't actually work. If you were looking at the stream earlier, it might have that FTX little red icon in the upper left corner of the screen, but it doesn't work.
Oh, well, they'll get it sorted out.
When you do a Mars
G90, 6100, all good.
When you do a Mars mod, does it actually add VHF, UHF to a non-VHF, UHF radio? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That still doesn't get you all band, all mode.
Yeah, the all band part, I did skip over that, but yes, yeah. It only does the bands that the radio can do, right? Physically.
It gets you on 11 meters.
Yeah. High power 11 meters. All of this stuff is illegal, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Go straight to jail, illegal. Straight to jail. Anybody on the Discord have a question that they didn't get to ask? Or Shadow? I think Shadow's in there. Let's see.
Quick comment.
Yeah, man, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say a couple quick comments here. Number one, I wanted to say thank you to Steve for some of the great videos he's done on the X6100. I recently picked an X6100 up, and he had some great stuff there. And I actually took his recommendation on the bag for the 6100, little bag that fits it just perfectly. And yeah, that one's a great little bag, and I appreciate that. And also, Josh, Andy and Zero APX here, I sent you a direct message, and if you about maybe doing an interview sometime, if you get a chance to review that. Based on one of the projects I'm a part of, so if you get a chance to review that, I'd appreciate it.
I will take a look. And when did you send it?
I sent it just a few minutes ago.
Oh, I don't have a DM from. Oh, message request. It just came in. Got it. Okay. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Is that your avatar is a G90 too, right? I can see it in your avatar.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. That was my first multi-band HF rig. After I got my General, somebody really kind ham sold me one really cheap. So I've cranked a lot of POTA contacts through that G90, and actually from my home station here in Missouri, I actually made some of my first DX contacts like Australia and Hawaii, and some really fun ones just with those 20 watts, no amp. So yeah, it's a good little radio for sure.
I mean, for what is it, $450? I don't remember what is Radioddity shipping those things out at.
It's about that price.
And it's usually got some kind of bundle. Yeah, $450. Let me pull this up here. There you go. $450 for the radio. I mean, you consider. Again, you got to consider somebody. Who was it? Hayden. Hayden dropped an image on X of what a radio in the 90s like cost. And it was like $3,000 of Australian dollars. So, cut that in half. That's a $1,500 radio. And for all that, the G90 does everything that did, plus more, right? And so radios have just come such a long way, and there's some really inexpensive radios out there. And this is one of them. The G90 is a cheap radio from my point of view.
Yeah. I just a little bit of color there. When I first became a ham radio operator back in 91, I thought by the time I would get to the age that I'm in now, I would have to at least spend $10,000 on a good radio.
Yeah.
I had planned that out. I was going to have to spend at least $10,000.
Dude, totally. This is an interesting question. We'll come back to Discord in a second because I want to hear if Shadow can get back in, because Shadow is he was in the disaster area of Helene this week, and I'd like to hear an update from him at some point. So if Shadow, hopefully you can make it in a second. We'll come back to you. I think your internet was kind of up and down. But Jeremy asks, and this is a great question. We'll go to T.O. first on this. What would you suggest for a POTA Hunter setup? There are tons of videos on POTA activator setups, but nothing on Hunter setups. Transceiver, antenna, and accessories, amps, etc. So the guy's building a ham shack, basically. But T.O., what did you say?
That's a loaded question.
I know,
So we'll go with the cheap budget option. Most of your POTA activations happen on HF on 20 meters, so I would go with the Poseidon antenna that we sell over.
Oh, we lost you, T.O.
Yaesu. You lost me.
You disappeared for a
me?
second. You're
Am I back?
You're back.
Yeah, you're back.
All right, so the Poseidon antenna from Coffee and Ham Radios, the Yaesu FT710 for a moderate budget, that'll get you on most bands at 100 watts with a nice waterfall and easy to use digital interface to do FT8 for those kind of contacts, or CW with a CW decoder if you're still handicapped like me. As the budget goes up, because your shack inside of your shack, get yourself a nice amp. Don's got a good recommendation for an amp for you, because I've only ever used one amp to get above 100 watts, and I wouldn't recommend that one. And then, antenna is where all the money's at, where you really get all of your zing. So, Yagi on a tower with a rotator.
Mm-hmm. I will add.
So what was the amp, Don?
Oh yeah, what?
You mean the Mercury 3? Yeah, that would be
the amp of choice.
Well, it is there. So the Mercury 3, the problem with it is there's still at least a 1.5 year waiting list, and there is a VK alternative called VK3 amp. That from everything that I can tell, it's basically the same thing as the Mercury. It's just and I don't believe the guy in Australia is nearly as far behind. In fact, I don't think he's that far at all. Those amplifiers, if I'm not mistaken, are in the $2,500 to $2,800 range.
There's a lot of kits, it looks like, in this guy's shop.
That's when I got my Mercury, I literally built it, and it was $24.99. And it was a full kit, but he doesn't sell kits anymore. It's $2,700 for the non-kit. And then he's got a Lux that's a like $4,000 amp. And honestly, if I was doing a $4,000 amp, and I am looking at one, I'm probably going to go with the one that Richard sells, the Expert amplifier.
I will add this thought to this, that POTA, since you're hunting POTA,
Mm-hmm.
you need to be able to hear the station. So an amp, while if you can hear them, you're probably going to be able to reach them at 100 watts, is my guess.
Right.
An amp is almost like a worst case scenario type of thing where you can hear this far off station and you just need that bit of energy. But if you think about the person in the park, they're definitely running 100 watts or less. So the hearing them is the complex part. So the absolute good antenna setup is going to be your most important thing. So whichever antenna you buy, if it's a Poseidon or whatever, you need to really place it in the optimal location. If it's this is a vertical antenna, but if it's a horizontal long wire antenna or something like that, you need to get it really high up. Or if you got a beam, you got to get that as high as you can too, at least for the bands you're operating on. There's a lot more that goes into the antenna if you want to be a good listener than just an alligator that's got a big signal but you can't hear anything. So really, really focus on the receive capability.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Shadow, you there?
I have signal now. Can you hear me?
You're good. Yeah, you're good, man. You're making it. How's it going?
It's been busy, really busy.
Yeah, man. So what's going on? What's going on? Any reports or anything you want to mention?
Just that the fact that I realized a lot of people after the hurricane in Florida, a lot of resources started drying up, and man, they still need help in North Carolina really bad.
Oh yeah, we looked at a satellite image of the disaster area at nighttime and the juxtaposition for the lights before the hurricane and after. It's a complete dead zone. If anybody wants to see that on the Discord, go to the HRCC podcast channel and scroll up until you find the satellite image. In fact, I'll pull it up on the live stream. But yeah, what was your experience like last week or this last week?
Just utter devastation like I've never seen before, and then compiled on top of that is just like the response with agencies trying to work with volunteers is almost more of a disaster than the actual disaster.
Really? How so? What does that mean?
Well, the group that I was working with, I got pulled into Grindstone Ministries to work some of their logistics and comms. And I wasn't doing much, but I was working with what I brought with me. And based on what I've seen, it was like a constant tit for tat. Like we would get clearance to go in and drop supplies with helicopter, and then we would have like one or two more runs scheduled, and then we get a NOTAM and saying we can't land there then they couldn't explain the reason. So we go in by foot, and then that was a problem. And it was just, they were destroying trails, trying to do I don't know what they were doing, but they were destroying the trails that we were walking supplies in. And then the citizens that we were actually trying to help would have to fix the trails by shovel. It was one disaster after another. We try to get supplies in, we try to help people, send in doctors, and it was just roadblock after roadblock after roadblock.
What were the agencies you were talking about in this case that was having the problems?
Well, I don't want to really say because I can't vet it. I can't vet it, but as far as I know, they were mostly federal agencies, from what I was told.
Oh, so this is not necessarily you saw them do this, or you saw the aftermath, maybe.
No, this was conversations over the radio and conversations from volunteers grabbing supplies from us and trying to bring them into their community. Okay. They were getting supplies taken, trails were getting messed up, They were turning people away, saying you cannot get these supplies in because it's a restricted zone. And it was just one thing after another, and all these people wanted to do was help.
Yeah. Wow. I want to point out the stark imagery here because I do have the satellite image up. I want everybody to understand the landmass we're looking at here because that's Florida right there. That's the width of Florida right here into the Gulf, right? So look at the whole extension of blackness from the hurricane. And those are people without power that are gonna be without power for a while. If you were ever inclined, Thomas Witherspoon, K4SWL, he has I joined his Patreon, and he drops these audio they're kind of like podcasts basically, but talking about the logistics of trying to return power to this area is crazy. It is. This is like a Katrina level event in this area, right? And if you think about Katrina, that really just kind of messed up the Louisiana area. Very important area, no less. But look at the landmass, the scope of the destruction. That's Josh. Go ahead.
I will give you a good idea there. I read a statistic sometime in the last week here. That landmass that you're talking about is roughly equal to the whole state of California being without power.
Yeah.
That is a lot of people.
And Spider, I hear you, man. The Appalachians, no question, you guys are from a hardy stock. I'm not talking about you guys surviving. I know they'll survive. I know that, aside from the people that were taken because of the disaster. I'm saying just the logistics of returning power to here. That is a huge undertaking. And there's the earth underneath where they would put the infrastructure is gone. It's not there. There's no roads. Well, there's roads, but a lot of it has been taken out. And getting places is well, Shadow, you tell us. What's the infrastructure like for just going from place A to place B?
I know the road that I took in, which there was only 3 ways in to where I was headed. The road that I took in was patched with gravel after being rebuilt from being washed out, like maybe 3 hours before I showed up. And a lot of the infrastructure there, they're talking about some of these places aren't going to get power for a year or 2.
Yeah. That's what somebody mentioned, that they heard power will be back in the first of the year. I think that there will be, of course, there will be power back in the first of the year, but no, it's going to go way longer than that.
And that was one of the comments I made, like TO saying you're going to hook up Starlink to troubleshoot your radio. That's exactly what I did, is we couldn't figure out how to get APRS working on the FTM 400.
We got to get KM4ACK on your speed dial. That guy knows that radio like the back of his hand. We had 4 FTM 400s. We could not get them to run APRS to save our lives. There's like me and 2 other hams there, and it's been through all of us. And we picked up the Anytone 578, and first try we had APRS working on that thing. And I don't know what was wrong with the FTM 400, but it would not work. So none of them worked. I thought you had just a bug with one of them.
No, we had 4. We were running dual channels on all of them. And we tried to get each one to try to get APRS working on at least one of them so we can throw one in a truck out in the field. Couldn't get them working.
I misunderstood the messages we exchanged. So you got to have GPS on. You got to make sure APRS 12 is turned on for 1200 baud. Yeah, I could have told you more. Sorry about that, man. I left you hanging on that. I felt bad about that.
I have a question.
No, we had GPS link. We had 1200 baud.
Okay.
We set it to its default 1112 or whatever the default was. We had that set. It was squawking out because we didn't have a handy talkie that could decode. It was squawking out, and the packet sounded correct. It sounded like a normal APRS packet, but the gate wouldn't pick it up. and we could receive packets, but it wouldn't make it to the gate. But we did the anytone, and it was working fine.
Question?
Oh. I think. Well, hold on. So Frank wanted to say something. Is it related?
Is
to
it
this,
related
Frank,
to this, Frank? Yeah, I had a question for Shadow.
Okay.
So last week we were talking about you perhaps using WinLink for getting traffic in and out. Were you able to get that set up, and did you have a chance to work with that, or can you answer that at all?
No, we ended up. One of the comms guys that I was working with is an Emron operator, and he had his wild JS8 comm stat set up that he was getting HF worked out of. Like I've never seen anything like that. That thing is amazing, and I wish I could understand how to use it. But no, most of our traffic was either over Starlink or we were trying to use the local repeaters, and they would kick us off after a while, and then we'd go to a lot of the guys running the SAL teams were using GMRS, so we'd switch over to GMRS, and then the parking lot was FRS. It was like my 390 came in clutch because I had all those FRS, GMRS, and everything programmed in that thing, and there was no other way that would have worked. I'm not carrying 3 radios.
Oh yeah, so you're
All
super
right, yeah.
multi-mode.
Where did you get power for the Starlinks? Generators?
Generator. We had generators first, and then we were the first ones to get power across the river. So once we had power, we were set. We're rocking.
Wow, man.
Question?
Yeah, Mark, go for it.
So who was running point on organizing all the frequency and all that?
That was up to us. Whatever would work. Whatever we had at hand, because we were getting radios in daily, and I was doing some of the programming. They were doing some of the programming, and it just depended on what we had on hand and who was capable of using it.
All right, thanks.
So basically, it's whatever the crews that were working together could run. That's what they were doing.
Oh yeah, we were making antennas. Like we tried to make an antenna for airband, and I just ended up putting my mast up and using my disc cone for an airband antenna, so we could talk to the helicopter. And it was wild. Everybody was just bringing shit from home. We were just cobbling stuff together, making stuff work, reprogramming radios almost daily, just trying to get a uniform working network.
On your FTM 400 issue, where you did have that set on the B channel, right? B side.
The lower channel. It was on the channel on the lower part of the screen. So that's, I'm assuming that's B.
Yeah. That's where it has to be because it won't work on the upper. But I was just because I run FTM 400s on. In fact, I've got 2 of them because I like them so much. And basically, all I do is APRS beaconing. I don't know what if you were trying to send messages over APRS, but
Sounds like they couldn't even beacon.
yeah, but beaconing, I've never had trouble with beaconing, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what our trouble is. We wanted to put them in the trucks for the SAL team so we can keep an eye on the trucks because sometimes we can't reach them over HT if they won't let us use the repeater. So I was like, well, screw it. We could just use APRS, but getting the FTM 400, it just would not work. So we decided to throw the Anytone in the truck.
And I thought the Anytones, now I don't know about the newer ones, but the 878s are all what DPRS, right? Over DMRS or DMR?
I believe so. The ones we had were the 578Ds.
So the mobile version, or
I thought they were pretty dead
Yeah, I believe it was the
simple to set
mobile
up.
version. I think it was a 50 watt.
That stinks. I'm sorry to hear that because I thought they were pretty dead simple to set up. So the fact that you guys had so many problems, that's really good. But
another question?
We even broke down and started. We were watching the Hamtech channel, trying to watch him front face set up one of them, and we still couldn't get it to work.
Huh. Okay. Mark, go ahead.
So if you had to make a list now of things that you wish you had, could you make that and just share it with everybody?
Oh, that's a fantastic question.
Well, in a disaster like this, like some kind of repeater unit, simplex repeater, duplex repeater, just something you can throw up in a tree halfway and go down into the valley, because that was our biggest struggle. If we used the repeaters, we could get down into the valley and talk to the SAL teams, but as soon as they got gripey and wanted us off, like, we had no contact. And a bunch of handhelds, a lot of handhelds. Like, we had like 20 handhelds.
What about that GMRS repeater that somebody was or you may not have been on then, but the GMRS repeater from what is it,
Redivis.
Redivis, yeah.
Redivis.
I mean, anything at that point, just trying to get down in that valley, you have to have some kind of repeater. There's just no other way around it. We were thinking about doing an invis on 40 meter, but we were short on generals, so we didn't want to sacrifice one of the competent people at the talk to go out in the field and try to set up a invis antenna.
Yeah, you might want to look at one of those little, because they're like, I think they're in a carrying case and everything. You just it's like a suitcase you carry around, and it's meant for, setting it up remotely and running it in a temporary situation.
Who was kicking you off of repeaters?
I was just going to ask that same question. What happened there? What's that about?
At first they were okay. Like, first couple of days they were fine. We're doing our thing, but like, we were using call signs, the guys on the ground and the guys at the top using call signs. We were just mainly checking on SAL teams, and we had search and rescue teams. We're just keeping updates where you're at, where you're going, what you found. Not really a whole lot. We're not like making a net or anything. And it got to the point where they were like, this is no longer an emergency. This is for ham use only. You're tying up the repeater. And like, most of the time, nobody was talking on it. Like, we had like maybe 2 or 3 guys that would get on it every now and then, just chit chat about stuff here and there, but there's nobody else on it. We weren't hurting anybody.
Wait, the comment on this is no longer an emergency. What is that? Like, they meant like the area is no longer an emergency?
They have no clue, yeah.
Well, I mean, apparently wherever they are, they're fine. So it's no longer an emergency to them, as what I gathered. They didn't think it was that serious because they had FEMA and everybody else that was not doing anything there.
Did you consider just telling them to stuff it?
Yeah.
It's probably their repeater.
It's their repeater. It was the custodian of the repeater. He could have just shut it off on us, but at that point, it wouldn't matter anyways, I guess.
I mean, that's crazy to me. I don't understand. Like, what's the dichotomy there where the people that are not in a disaster area are unwilling to help? Like, what's the deal with that? What do you think was going on there?
They're just mean.
There's only 3 working repeaters in that area right now. I think 2 of them were owned by the same club, and the same custodian was the one giving us the trouble.
What was the call sign of the repeater?
Yeah, can you slide me on the down low what the call sign was for that guy?
I'll just go ahead and tell us all.
I mean, I can throw the frequencies in chat. You'll have to go to that area and pull up what the name of the repeater. I don't know the name on the top of the head. We had our own name for it based on where the valley we were working in.
Yeah, what was it?
Sat ham repeater.
Yeah, hold on. Give me a second. I'll pull up what the frequencies are.
Everybody's feverishly running to grab pen and paper to write this down.
Somebody else also brought up that you're in an emergency situation, so you don't necessarily need generals to operate on HF.
I guess. Like, I'm not gonna get down the like rabbit hole of we got the best radio, like the technician that has all the skills but hasn't upgraded to general or extra, that hypothetical situation, like sure. But we're just talking about a repeater at this point. Is my antenna back up here? What's going on here? There we go. My antenna had to install a patch apparently because I was having horrible SWR, but then I set it back into reconfigure mode and it's good. It's a step IR, so you gotta tell it to rehome itself and reissue every once in a while.
Update the firmware and factory reset.
That's it.
I was getting ready to say that.
I got to factory reset my antenna, bud. Go ahead, Shadow.
All right, I posted the text that I sent earlier in another group about the repeater channels that we were using. If I remember right, one of them I think is called Viking repeater or Viking Mountain. That one we didn't have too much of an issue with, but I know the other two frequencies, that the repeater custodian would constantly kick us off.
That's crazy.
And I'm going to preface this before Josh does. Please, nobody contact them.
Oh yeah, don't contact them.
Don't contact them.
Don't slam them or scream at them or anything like that. I mean, just I may reach out to just ask, what's going on, like what do you think was happening here? Why do you have those beliefs? But I don't know that I'll make a video or anything like that. Somebody said they need public shaming. I don't think that's the solution, and I definitely don't want them coming from my channel because of somebody thinking that I'm telling them to do that. I'm not telling them to do that, okay?
Yeah.
So be really...
At the same time, it is their equipment, so they can do what they want with it. They don't want to use it's their full right.
And if they turn it off, then nobody gets to use it.
Were these unlicensed people that they were kicking off the repeater, or were they licensed amateurs?
No, everybody using that repeater were licensed. They were all our guys.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, that's weird. The whole thing's that's very odd.
Yeah, Adam, from a cert standpoint, what would you do if that happened to you, where they told you couldn't use a repeater during a search and rescue?
If it was urgent and needed, I would say we'll try to minimize our use of the machine, but we'll use this as we need to. And I'd be really surprised to experience that in our area here. We've had very good support, and we generally don't end up using amateur repeaters just because we have such good infrastructure for the public service side of things.
Well, here's the thing though, the public service side in that area does not exist anymore.
What do you mean? What happened?
Everything that is local law enforcement, fire rescue, all their towers, infrastructure's gone.
Wow.
Yeah, I've read that's happened. There's literally very little local public infrastructure that can be used for anything right now. That's why the federal government's in there, but they're like he said, I've heard rumors that they're not doing a very good job.
Yeah,
no, federal is not sharing any of their radio equipment. Local law enforcement and stuff is grabbing radios off the shelf to use because their P25 stuff is useless right now because they don't have a programmer. It's chaos.
Hear that, Frank?
Yeah, no kidding.
P25 bad.
No, P25 not bad. Just P25 trunk systems that rely on an internet backbone are bad.
No, the programming is bad. It should be dead simple to do, and it's not.
You
Oh,
guys.
it is dead simple.
Ooh.
You're
It
getting
might
in
not
the weeds.
necessarily be that it's dead simple or not. It's the licensing and getting the passcodes to program it.
Well, you're absolutely right, and good evening.
What I don't understand is I feel like there's got to be more to this story, because I can't imagine someone, unless it is like a closed repeater system and the general public is not normally allowed to use it. I can't imagine some light occasional use by people in the area trying to stay in contact with each other perhaps every half hour or hour would be a problem to anyone. So I there just has to be more to this story.
I kind of agree with Adam that there's probably more to the story, and justifiable point of views on both sides. I listen now constantly to 145.190, and it's a constant net during the day. I can't hear it at night, but during the day I listen to 145.190, and again, Miss Vicky or Lynn, they are constantly running a net on that repeater that I listen to. So there's multiple repeaters in the area and probably multiple players. So I'm not disputing that any of this happened, but that particular repeater is very well coordinated.
And
no, I've heard her. She's been keeping their repeater pretty clean. But where we're working down in the valley, there's only really two that work down in that valley because they're right above it.
Yeah, right. I can't speak for that one because I haven't been listening. So, like I said, I'm not disputing you were, boots on ground there, but they're not all behaving the way you described.
No. Yeah, I don't think anybody's saying that. I think this, but when there's only one or two repeaters that are available in the area, right, it makes it kind of difficult. So that,
and there could be a limitation of the repeater. Like with the second hurricane that just came through Florida, we've had limited power the past few days. So
that's an interesting point. That's an interesting point.
There's some repeaters that might not have enough battery backup to keep it up for a period of time, or the solar might just trickle charge the batteries. So it could just be the dude doesn't want his lead acid batteries going bad from being overused and wants it just used as a normal everyday repeater like it was before, not being overused.
Yeah, but in that scenario, that should be stated. It shouldn't just be you can't use this because it's for hand use only.
Question?
Let's see. Go ahead, Mark.
Is this an ongoing need? Do you guys need a repeater there now still?
I'm hoping that I have a friend on Discord that might be bringing a simplex repeater to us, but it won't be till the 19th. And I'm going back Tuesday to see what they've come up with over the weekend. But it would be beneficial if we could get a repeater.
Well, I did link that GMRS repeater in chat to you because that might, you got people that can do GMRS.
Have you thought of something like doing crossband repeat and doing that as a pseudo repeater? Just grab one of your mobile radios that support it, because I think the FTM 400 does.
It does.
I have, yeah. If we can go through the, I don't know if they want to pull two FTM 400s, or will one do it? Will one do crossband repeat?
Yep. So you basically just set one up in a vehicle, set a vehicle up on a high point, and it might listen on, like, it will probably listen on 440 and it will rebroadcast out on 2 meter. So.
Okay, I didn't know that was an option. I will definitely let them know as soon as I can get a hold of one of them.
I got to run to the restroom really
Hey
quick.
guys, this is Steve. I got to run.
Okay. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate you hanging out, man. It was a good stream.
No problem.
Take care, Steve.
Yeah.
Take care, Steve.
Anytime, guys.
Appreciate it.
Look forward to running into you all in the future.
All right, I have to run to the restroom, so I'm going to let you guys continue this conversation. I'll be back in 1 minute, and thanks for, just thanks. I'll be back. Be right back. Go ahead.
Yeah, because like crossband repeat, it will be just a pseudo basic like repeater that you could just throw up in any of the vehicles.
Yeah, I'll definitely try that. Is that in the paper manual, or am I going to have to go YouTube foo on that?
I don't know if it's in the paper manual. I set it up once, and it was like 2 years ago in a friend's vehicle. It was literally just you went in the config menus and you set channel A to one freak, channel B to another band, another freak, and it was an option that's like crossband repeat, and you select channel A as your input and B as your output, if I remember right.
All right, if they're on Starlink right now, I'll send them a text and see if they can get that working before I get there.
You know, I've also got a device that may or may not help you. I don't want to add to your workload, but we've got a device that can maybe help you out with that too.
Yeah. So.
I mean that's great. The only thing is getting it to us.
So I posted a guide just from Googling real quick. The benefit to crossband repeat was the concept behind it was let's say you have an HT that only supports 70 centimeters. You could go out and still talk to a 2 meter repeater just using like your mobile home base station as a pseudo repeater in between.
Now, is that AB channel on the same antenna, or is it going to be a range issue with the HT talking to the FDM 400?
It's the same antenna. It's just 2 different bands. So anything that goes over like the 70 centimeter band on the freak will be repeated on the 2 meter and vice versa. Anything that goes on the 2 meter band would be repeated on the 70 centimeter.
Yeah, but doesn't that like severely deafen the front end on receive?
Depends on the mobile.
On all of my Yaesu and Kenwood radios, I've never had an issue with it deafening the front end.
Yeah, that
I haven't heard of it either. I know people that won these setups because it's handy to have, especially at like ham shows. So like maybe inside the building you can't necessarily get out to the repeater, so they just put the repeater under the car, find an open frequency, and they can get out to the car. But I've not necessarily heard of it weakening the front band that much. I mean, it doesn't hurt to try, and a repeater is better than no repeater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I hear you. Yeah, we'll give it a try for sure.
So I got to step in for a second. I apologize. I am hosting actually 2 pocket knife training classes for scouts tomorrow, both for my youngest bear scout and my Weebelo I got to do knife safety with, but they're got to do Whitland chip, and I'm hosting that. I'm running the whole thing. So I realized I got to go buy a bag of potatoes and some other stuff because I only have soap and some wood for some of the practicing we're going to do. So I have to head out here shortly. But before we do that, I do want to say hi to our YouTube friends. I apologize I couldn't do this before we lost T.O., but thank you again, T.O., for joining us temporarily offline. He's linked in the video description. Go check him out. But let's go down the list really quick, and then I got to skedaddle. So first on the list is Bill. We heard Bill a little bit earlier. How you doing, Bill?
Hey, how's it going, Josh?
I'm doing well. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. And yeah, so you can listen line of sight to a lot of what's going on out there?
Yeah, just by the pure luck, it missed me here, and I mean, went over like really light, and then devastated. It just devastated western North Carolina and Tennessee and other places. But yeah, so I've been listening, and it's a real strong repeater that I'm listening to. So when I'm driving I'm in Mooresville, North Carolina, so driving between Mooresville and Charlotte to go to work, the repeater's strong all the way. The 40 miles or so that it is thereabouts. But anyway, I'm gonna get out of the way, and you gotta go, and there's other people that want to chat. I appreciate you for shouting out. And again, it's Bill, Kilo Zero WHW, and thanks a lot.
Hey, appreciate that. Appreciate it. All right, next is Andrew. How's it going, Andrew? Are you there? You can hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Brocam,
How's it going? Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Sorry, I said Andrew,
No,
but yeah, I meant Brocam.
yeah, no, that's what threw me. No, you're totally fine. I appreciate it. Only thing I got to ask is, supposed to, what knives are you going to use tomorrow?
That is
That's
a freaking fantastic question. I'm so glad
I'm
you
a
asked.
knife guy. I'm a
I
knife
am
guy,
too.
man.
I'm insanely a knife guy. But so as a scout, I have two thoughts. I do love me a good scout pocket knife. The problem is I'm a big fan of having a scout actually have a locking knife. Being a scout for many, many years, there are situations where a slip joint is just not the right thing for what you might be doing out in the field. So I gave 3 options, which is a traditional scout knife with all the Spartan lineup, plus I think it had the Phillips head screwdriver. So I think it's called like a Trekker or something like that. Then oddly enough, one knife that is really good for kids to use, because the other thing is if you have a lock knife, liner locks and all that stuff, sometimes kids' hands, they can't manipulate them. Open-L knives are actually really, really easy for kids to use. And so a smaller sized Open-L, they have a couple ones that have like a whistle built in the bottom. They have like a bit driver version, all that stuff. Open-Ls work good too. And once upon a time, Leatherman had a multi-tool that looked like almost like an alligator head when it was closed. That thing was great because the blade, the live blade, came as a secondary piece. So you could give it to a kid, and the only blade that it had on it was like a saw. And then everything else was just tools. And I had my oldest son on that thing for years before I gave him the live blade after he got his Whitland chip. The problem is that knife is now discontinued, and they're going for over $400 on eBay. So
wow.
I'm not buying that for my youngest. So he's getting an Open-L, I think number 6, and it's the Scout version. So the tip is slightly blunted, which it's like, okay, great, that's fine. So yeah, it's kind of a challenge actually. I would like to see something in the size of like a Swiss Army knife Spartan with a locking main blade would be just perfect if we could get that.
Very cool. I dig it. If you ever go to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, you got to check out Smoky Mountain Knife Works. I don't know if you've ever been there.
Well, I haven't been there, but I'm a big fan of their stuff. Yeah.
Oh, every time I go, I make my wife walk the store with me, and we spend like 4 hours there.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. No, but yeah. So I'm getting ready for Hellfest, and I'm almost to 400 subscribers, and I think that's awesome. I can't believe I got that many people that want to see my stupid videos. I love it.
Well, congratulations, man. Yeah, let me
yeah,
pull you
thank
up
you.
here. I have news on my Hellfest. Obviously, I am the reigning champ of Hellfest, and I have all intentions of participating. The problem is that I've decided I'm going to Pacificon. So I have my travel all booked. I will arrive in hopefully in the hotel before Hellfest starts, but that means I have to set up my 7610 and all my stuff to be remotable to do Hellschreiber, which cracks me up to no end. I'm going to use the peak of internet technology to make Hellschreiber work and then potentially live stream from the hotel. I don't know how all that's going to go down, but I want to participate in this again. I don't want to lose my title if I could avoid it, but at the same time, it's going to be a bit of a challenge between now and Friday when I fly out. So yeah, thanks for participating too. Appreciate that.
Yeah, good luck.
All right. Next. Who's next? Hold on. I lost my Discord. There it is. And looking at the list here, Don is next. Don, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right. The only things I've done that are kind of ham related was I bought the basically they're kind of Mesh-tastic related. I got the tiny or the Mesh-tastic repeater that T.O. sold me. It's one he did a video on, and then I bought it off of him, and I'm going to put it up here at the house because I don't hear anything, and I want to see if I push something up high, if I do, because there's lots of hams around here. In fact, I can literally I can barely get a cell signal here, and yet the repeater just booms in here. I can hit it with an HT, and so there's just hams all over the place out here, and I'm right by the park, and so I would imagine that some of these hams are playing around with it. I'm just not hearing them. So I want to get that repeater up high and see if that if I can pull in some Meshtastic nodes. And then, of course, like I said earlier, I think I've got the Heltec V3s, and I'm going to try setting up that tiny ground station. That's kind of what I'm working on now. And then I picked up a Blackstone today, or yesterday, actually.
Nice.
And I seasoned it today, and I made some hamburgers and a lot of bacon, and getting that thing all seasoned up. It's a little one, but I'm only one guy, so
yeah.
You know, and it's portable, so I having fun with that as well.
Yeah, I'm now driving around with a Meshtastic in the addition of all the other arsenal of stuff, and I am shocked how much stuff there is out there right now in my area. So here's the Meshtastic map for my area. I got some new rack wireless. It's some kind of collab effort that they're doing with another group for these little tiny little devices, and they've been running for days now off those rack wireless systems. And I drive around, I leave it at work, and every once in a while I'll go to my car and check at my phone and all that stuff. And I'm shocked. The primary channel is just full of people chatting. Like, everybody's chatting right now. It's turned into like a party line on Meshtastic. It's crazy. It's crazy right now. It's nuts.
Well, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. But but by the way, I mean, you can get lots of those things for free. Just go chase those balloons.
Get those radio songs.
Yeah, I mean, and that I've been watching. Is that radioson.org or whatever it is? They like, you can zoom in on any one particular place in the country, and you can see the balloons that are up and flying, and then you can see when they crash. And then there are amateur radio operators that'll put their their call signs in there and tell you whether or not they've chased them. And then also they'll tell on that thing, oh, this one's been recovered. This one's been recovered. Mm-hmm. So you know which ones you don't go for.
Right.
So I just think I just been watching it. It's fascinating, and to me it looks a lot like geocaching.
Dude, totally. Yeah, it kind of is like that.
Yeah, except you get a prize.
Yeah, literally. The prize is these cool little radio songs that you can do all kinds of fun stuff with. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if we go, look how much traffic this also has. This is crazy.
Yep. And that's the thing. I mean, my club is the K5RWK, the Richardson Wireless Club. They are, I mean, they have an entire Discord channel devoted to chasing those things. Mm-hmm. And, success stories, and I had to bushwhack here, and pictures and all kinds of fun stuff.
Right on. All right, well, thanks, Don, for hanging out. Next is Frank. The internet's Frank. How you doing, bud? Glad you're with us.
3 weeks in a row. Can you imagine it, Josh?
I like it. I take it.
So this last week, I actually got a video posted. It's Let's Talk Motorola Part 2. It's part 2 of like a 4 or 5 part series that I'm still working on editing. So go check it out. I just dropped my link. I actually there were like 3 things I wanted to talk about, and I forgot one of them already, so only 2 things now. An update to a couple weeks ago with the Art Bell current call sign holder. He is going to attempt to reach out to a couple people he still knows in Pahrump that were friends of Art Bell's to try and get in contact with the daughter.
Okay.
So there's at least going to be an attempt of contact to be made there to see if maybe, I don't know what he'll work out, but there's an attempt of contact. I sent him the live stream and went, check from here onward, and we've been talking about it, and so he's going to reach out to those people and see what's going on. And then a couple weeks ago, also, you got a super chat, and you thought you knew who the user was, but you weren't sure. 73 Ham Radio is Adam Dennis.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I thought it was. Yeah.
Yeah, he changed his YouTube name on us quite a while ago, actually, and he lurks around.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Thank you, Adam Dennis. Appreciate you.
And that's, I think, about it for me. I'm just out here having fun, work, and more work. But as my grandfather said, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And boy, howdy, ain't that the truth for me, at least.
Well, you like trains, so I think that helps a little bit. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'll take any rap anyone wants to give you or Elon tonight. I'll be the one to take the brunt of the the Elon stuff.
No, I'm good. I don't have the time to dive in anyway. But anyway, Starlink is working good. They did a good job, so I appreciate that. Next on the list is Tim, the Grayman Prepper. How's it going, bud?
Grayman Prepper.
Oh, sorry. That's your new name.
Grayman
like POTA. Sorry, bud. Rename your channel quick.
Yeah. Just not much going on this week in the new building. Finally, spending a lot of time building furniture and setting stuff up. I'm just working off the laptop mic, so I don't even know if it sounds good at all. But staying busy with that and sitting around here contemplating new and exciting ways that I can use a Boondock Echo. A Boondock Echo. Maybe with
Did
a
I
little
hear
echo in the
Boondock
background.
Echo?
Hey, man, I'm thinking about Boondock Echo here.
I love it. All right. I think next is Adam. Yeah, it's Adam, K6ARK. How you been, man?
I am doing well. Been busy with SAR training. This month is like every weekend is SAR training, including some weekday evenings. So I've been real busy with that, doing tech rescue training with the Sheriff's Department this weekend. But a few days ago, the Ham Radio Workbench episode that I was on dropped. So go check that out. I hung out with George, Vince, Mike, and Thomas couldn't make it that night. Anyway, the Ham Radio Workbench crew on their podcast and talked about a whole bunch of projects that are on my workbench right now. So go check that out.
Cool. All right. And then next is Mark from Boondock Echo. How you doing, man?
Good, Josh. How you doing? And yes, this is Mark from Boondock Echo. That right. That Mark. Thanks, man.
Did I hear Boondock Echo?
You did. So I've been doing a couple things. I've been last few months I've been hanging out with the city's emergency response fire department, sheriffs, LA County EOC came over. We're going to do some tabletop evac drills and then some actual evac drills in January. But one of the reasons I was so excited about getting involved in this was I figured that LA County needed some Boondock Echoes in their EOC. So at one of these meetings, I just passed them over. So hopefully that'll pay off. We've got videos coming out every other day right now. Some of them are short, some of them are a little bit longer, but you know, we're getting content and getting some views, so that's good. And then I was thinking about, I don't know if I will, but thinking about making a video about some Bluetooth reverse engineering I did for a device for the Boondock Echo so I could get some accurate power measurements off of it. And maybe cast a broader net, get some more people, get some more views, get some people looking at it. So, yeah.
Very good. Well, thank you for hanging out with us, and we appreciate the updates. And yeah, let's take a couple of questions, and I'm gonna boogie out of here. We lost TO, but is there anybody in the Discord who had wanted to get in here but couldn't, and now here's a little lull in the action? If you'd like to say hi or ask a question, go ahead.
You want to take my question now?
Sure. Yeah.
So what I'm looking for, and so I'm just asking for suggestions here of radios. What radios do we have anymore that work like the Alinco Mark or MK135, where you have the ability to connect a digital device to it? And by the way, I don't want an HT. I'm done with those. But where you can hook a, like a packet radio or WinLink or anything like that to it where it's going over a serial connection.
Like you're just looking for any kind of radio, or?
Well, 2 meter 440, and I know the only one I've been looking at the 6000 FTM 6000 because I'm reading that it does it, but I don't know of any others really.
Don, are you thinking about a radio with an integrated TNC?
No, I'm building a TNC. I dropped it in the chat already, Tim.
The best things you can do is find a radio that has like a data port on it. And really what that means is it just passes the audio in and out.
Right. And the Alincos used to do that.
They did. Yeah, the DR line was great for that.
Yeah.
So the Yaesu 857 and the 897 both have data ports on the back.
Yeah, so does the, what is it, the FT6000, the one you mentioned, right? You mentioned
the
that,
FTM
right?
6000, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the one I would look at.
Yeah, I am looking at that one. I just didn't know if there were any others.
Don, my FTM 100 has a 10-port data port on the back of it.
Yeah, but I'm looking for something I can actually buy.
Well, if you got enough money, I've got it anyway.
Well, I mean, the used, I'm not really looking for a used one, but
I got you. I was just kidding.
And the reason the reason for the question is I'm interested if somebody's even making them anymore. It sounds like everybody's given up on that line other than Yaesu, and I really, I'm building a TNC. Tio and Jim are building TNCs and playing around with them, and I can do it on HF. That's easy because all the radios have that interface. But you get on 2 meter 440 FM mobiles and for the shack, and the 6000 is the only thing I know of.
And you're getting off the DR line because they're getting harder to get, right?
Well, again, it's used. It's not made anymore. Right. Now, there is a DR 735, and there's several DRs in, DR Alincos, but none of those have the data port on them.
Hey, the ICOM 5100 has a data port.
That does?
Yep.
Because I got rid of mine.
It's got a data port there, bud.
Oops.
Hey, Don.
I hate green.
Don, question for you.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever thought of going with a commercial Kenwood, ICOM, or Motorola radio for this?
I'm not going to pay for one of those. They're tens of thousands of dollars, right?
No, not new.
I know you can go to eBay, but I'm not talking eBay.
You can get a recently good radio for commercial gear that's used on eBay or
exactly.
even Facebook Marketplace for under $1,000.
Under $1,000. For that money, I would just spend the extra money and get a 9700.
Oh, you can get a IC 7100 that does it along with HF.
Well, I have a 7100. Well, again, and I also have an 857 as well. So I do have HF radios that have, 2 meter all mode. So I guess there is those, but I was looking for something like basically a mobile radio, like a 6000 or something, like an ICOM 2730A or any that style of radio.
I mean
857 is a mobile radio, Don.
Yeah, the 7110.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy though. I don't want to use my. Go ahead. Sorry, Laura.
I mean, the 7100 is basically a mobile radio with HF.
Yeah, and then, and the 7100 also has all of that nice repeater tracking and all of that. Takes a GPS, and actually that's the thing. My 7100, I have a GPS on the data port, so the data port's actually not free.
All right, I gotta hop out. So I'll let you guys figure that out. No, you guys hang out, figure it out. I got to head out here, though. So I appreciate everybody taking the time and hanging out with us. Sorry I'm bailing out about 30 minutes early or more. So take it easy on the Discord.
Josh, just remember, deep breath. Don't kill the kids. Wait till they're older.
Oh, no. I'm good in dealing with these kids because I'll just take the knife away and hand it back to the parents and say, get your kid out of here. I can't teach it right now.
Don't disrespect the blood circle.
Oh no, that's like lesson 1. I'm very black and white when it comes to like knife safety and firearm safety and all that stuff. So the kids will either listen to me or they will be asked to not attend the class. So it's very simple. So
is it Boy Scout level or
no? They give knives out to Bear Scouts, Cubs. These are all Cubs.
God, and when I was, of course, this is many years ago. They wouldn't let you had to be a Boy Scout.
Oh no!
Before
in order to get your totem chip, you had to be a Boy Scout.
No, I was a Cub when I got my knife.
Yeah, Don, I think that was just you.
Well, you know, I mean,
no, it wasn't just him.
No, it wasn't either. It was
like Josh.
Yeah. Take it easy, guys. I gotta go.
Have a good
73,
one, Josh. 73.
See ya. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. I do have to head out though. I've got my soap and I got some wood, but I'm gonna buffer that with some potatoes for some of the kids who are a little bit, I don't want to go full, give them a piece of wood and start carving on that thing. But yeah, they got to do 2 carving practices. And so, yeah, if you're somewhere around Cerritos tomorrow and you hear an adult male screaming, it might be me at a child. I won't scream at him. I'm just kidding. I'll just take the knife away. All right, everybody. 73. Mind the blood circle. Be careful with your pocket knives. Get on the air and do what you can for the rest of the week. Oh, thank you, Jason. Appreciate that. Jason Lockwood with the super chat. Love that. Appreciate the support. Really do. So thank you, buddy. All right, I'm heading out. 73. Take it easy. Enjoy them memes. Have the rest of the weekend to play some radio. It's really funny that Adam's in the chat right now and they're getting hit with the Adam memes. That's funny. It's switchblades in their den. Some stilettos. Somebody was commenting on like, oh yeah, give all the kids microtechs. I'm like, bro, come on. I don't even own like more than one microtech. All right, everybody.